Hi everybody, my name's Andrew and welcome to Impact Damage. This is a new series that we're going to be starting on this channel. I'm here with Mike.
Howdy.
And we've been talking about doing a podcast. It was his idea actually. And I was like, well, let's just put it on my channel and see what we can get into.
Yeah.
I don't know that calling it a podcast is actually going to be the right term for it. I don't think it's going to be quite that professional.
No, probably not.
But we're going to give it a shot anyway, so.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. And if everything goes wrong, I'm not the one with the YouTube channel and a name to uphold.
Yeah, so that it has no effect on you at all.
I have zero liability in this.
Yep, exactly.
So it's going to be great.
Yep.
For sure.
And I don't make any money off of this channel yet anyway, so.
No.
Technically, I have nothing to lose either. But
no.
Anyway, roll the intro. I'm going to do an intro.
Oh, you're going to do an intro?
Yeah, I'll make one.
Sweet.
I'm going to have to now that I said that.
Yeah, you just forced that upon yourself. Oh, no. Okay.
Isn't it funny? I thought I won you over.
So I figured for the first episode that we would do sort of an introduction at the beginning. Going forward, we'll probably shorten it down and just do a little snippet for every episode, but I wanted to talk about, who we are and sort of how this got started more in depth. Obviously, if you've been following this channel for a little while, you know who I am, but you've only seen him once before. He was the Corvette man.
Yes,
in the Cars and Coffee video from a few months ago.
Yes.
And unfortunately, his personality is still the same in real life, for the most part.
Yeah, there's no acting here. I am a simp for the Corvette and anything American, actually. It's just who I am.
And he does actually wear Hawaiian shirts.
I do wear Hawaiian shirts.
And jeans, shorts, and, well, maybe not jean shorts.
I can't do the jean shorts in real life.
Yeah.
My fiance would kill me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually have a fiance. That's
as she should.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
So anyway, we both have some experience in the car business in various different ways. So I figured we would incorporate that into this podcast as well in future episodes, maybe do a little sort of behind the scenes look at certain things, talk about what we can anyway, without losing our current jobs.
Yes. That's a good point.
So
until this takes off, of course.
Yeah, and then we'll just do this.
Yeah. That'll be a good episode.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys have seen me enough, but why don't you give a little introduction first of who you are and what you've been doing in the car business, and maybe just talk about some cars that you've owned too?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so my name is Mike Deglomine. 25 years old, came from Florida. The great state of Florida, of course. Fantastic
Heaven's
place.
waiting room.
Heaven's waiting room, yeah. Funny enough, in winter, where I was from, I would say 50 to 60% of license plates were not Florida.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
It was either New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all those old people escaping the tyrannies of, 40 to 30 degree winters.
Yeah.
Poor folks.
Yeah, God forbid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, so, in terms of my automotive history, I've always been a car person. Everyone as kids probably likes cars because they're cool, fast, shiny things. Unfortunately, that never went away. So now I am a full-grown adult with a passion for very expensive tools that tend to break, which I will definitely be getting into on this podcast.
Yeah, we should do an episode on why you should think twice before buying a low mileage, old car such as a Corvette.
We definitely should. And that's unfortunately in my short life something I have a lot of experience with. But
well, because you've also had a lot of Jeeps.
I have had a lot of Jeeps. Yeah.
So,
I guess for my age. But yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'll get into that. My first car was a Jeep Wrangler. His name was Cletus, and he definitely helped me through high school and college. He was my personality because I don't have one of my own, obviously. And I did all of the incorrect, stupid high school things to it. It had the cheapest lift kit that I could possibly find. with the cheapest winch I could possibly find, and big wheels and not so big all-terrain tires, because of course that looked better, which is not a good idea.
Yeah.
I then proceeded to take it through the mud and completely ruin a perfectly fine vehicle for fun, because I was bored. But I wasn't doing drugs, so
Yeah.
that was something.
Yeah.
I think my parents were, I guess, net happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, on one side, at least you could get the money back out of it somewhat.
Yeah, but of course, in the Jeep
Well,
community,
unlike drugs, but
yeah, I don't. You can't get a whole lot of money out of those unless you sell them. Anyway, same with cars though. But
sort of.
a little bit. But yeah, well, also like in the Jeep community, most Jeep owners are proud of the fact that they ruined their vehicles, and that they are no longer worth anything. I mean, most well-to-do Jeep owners will buy a brand new $50,000 Rubicon, put $10,000 to $20,000 worth of aftermarket accessories on it, take them through the woods, completely ruin them, then put that on Instagram. I mean, that's just kind of that culture,
Yeah.
which is fun if you have the money to support that, which I definitely did not.
Yeah.
So after Cletus had breathed its last breath, that poor thing, ended up getting a 2017 Chevy Silverado. You will start to notice a habit that I do not own a lot of foreign vehicles.
Yeah.
For anyone that actually watched that Carson Coffee episode, I've only owned one foreign car, which is what I own now. Yeah, I had that Silverado. I then proceeded to, of course, straight pipe it, put it on big tires, and again, just treated it like it shouldn't be treated. That one actually ended up getting stolen. So that
was interesting. So did you get money from insurance for it, or did you have to just?
I did. I only got money from insurance, though, I believe, because we found it.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's actually a pretty good story. I went out to go to work, and I had made the mistake of leaving my second key in it, which I only did for one day, because that day I was going to give it to a friend of mine to help with something that he was doing. He was moving out of an apartment into another one. And
that's always how it works, of course, is it's the one time you do that.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, woke up, wasn't there, called the police. Police came, wrote a report, and fortunately, they had found it while the police officer was there. He heard a report saying, hey, you just reported this truck stolen. There's a black Chevy Silverado that we just found, and I think it's that. I was like, oh, let's see it internally. Oh, good news. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
By the way, you're going to need a tow truck. This thing's messed up. I was like, oh, damn. All right. Get there, and the story that we could see was that some kid stole it, took it on a joyride, totaled it in a ditch, and left. So that was the end of that one.
Yeah.
It did end up getting insurance money for it, which I'm very fortunate for, and ended up getting another Jeep Wrangler, 2018 JLU Sport. So that's the JL started 2018 to current. It's a new body style.
Well, 18 was a split year, wasn't it?
It was a split year, yeah. So in 2018, you could buy a JL or a JK. And if you bought a JK in that year, you get a lovely little sticker that says JK to remind you that you bought the old generation.
Yeah, it's like how they still sell. For those that don't know, Ram still sells the old generation 1500.
Do they still sell that?
Yes, they do.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. You can still buy a brand new Ram 1500 that came out in 2012.
Really?
It's called the Classic, and they just put a giant badge on the side that says Classic.
It is classic now. Yeah.
So anyway,
wow. that's you just taught me something. I didn't know that. I figured they would have stopped last year at least.
No, it's Chrysler. They haven't had a new product in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Chrysler 300, pretty much unchanged from the past 7-8 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm. But now we're going to get a SRT8.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Anyway, back to
Yeah.
your Jeep. Sorry.
Yeah. So then I had that car. I proceeded to put a good lift kit on it, and good wheels and tires, and nice bumpers, which I proceeded to use 0 times off road.
Of course.
As soon as I got all the money to put into it, I got a new job, which moved me to Houston, Texas, which means that instead of being up in the mountains of North Carolina, where I was before, I was in the middle of a 4 million person metroplex.
Which has absolutely no hills or anything.
No, it is completely flat. There is nothing to do, even really outdoorsy, much less off-roading and doing anything with a Jeep or a pickup truck.
Yeah.
But of course I moved there and that's what everyone had, but that's because they want to flex in their neighbors and do that thing and be Texan and be proud of themselves.
Yeah, anyway.
Good for them. So I sold that, and to fit in, of course, I bought a black Ford F-150.
Texas edition.
Texas edition. Yes, it was a Texas
Which
edition.
until I met him, I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah. Well, did you know that the Texas edition means nothing?
Yeah,
for Ford.
Yeah, you told me that. It's literally just a badge.
Yeah.
It's the same as any other XLT Chrome package.
Yep. Yeah, but in Texas, it is called a Texas edition.
Yep.
Because Texans will buy it.
Yep.
That's what I would do.
It works. You bought one.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It fooled me.
It works.
That vehicle actually remained stock, which was a good thing for me.
Oh, except for the tires.
Yeah, I put bigger Nitto Rich grapplers on it. But besides that, it was just a stock truck.
Yeah.
It was a good truck, too.
Yeah.
It got me from Houston all the way back up here to Raleigh. Towed a U-Haul all the way up here. Yeah, which was for a new position with the same company. Mm-hmm. It's actually how we met.
Yep. Yeah, we've unfortunately we've been working together for almost a year now, which God help us, but
it hasn't been going well. Not at all.
Well, actually, I don't know. Depending on what happens in the next few weeks.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But we won't talk about that yet. So, yeah, and then you basically once you started being around more car people again, you decided to get rid of the F-150.
Yep.
Oh, good. The GoPro overheated.
Oh, lovely.
How did it overheat in here?
It is. It's 50 degrees in this room.
Yeah, it's not hot in here at all.
Yeah, and there's barely any lights on, so there will not be any more shots of me. You're welcome.
Yeah. Mine is still working over there.
There you go. Lucky
which
you.
is hilarious because that GoPro has fallen off the back of a car 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for it. GoPros are tough. I'll tell you that.
Well,
much.
not that one.
No, not that one.
But anyway.
Some are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I started being around more car people. Andrew primarily, because one thing, and we'll definitely talk more about this, working at a car dealership, that does not mean you are going to be around car people.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But the one that we're at right now, at least on the recon side, for the most part it does.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
For sure.
But
you do get more car people probably than the average tech, agriculture, construction, industries. But yeah, don't think you're going to be surrounded by people who will go crazy over a air-cooled Porsche driving down the road. They'll say that one's old, why don't you just buy a new one?
Yeah, when I was in sales, that was the experience I had too.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
they could easily just sell shoes or
Yeah, phones.
Yeah.
Or anything. To them, it was just a product to make money off of.
Yeah, it's just another sales job.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So I was starting to hang out around more car people, and I decided that I would like to have a enthusiast car, a real enthusiast car.
Yeah.
Showing up in a bone stock black F-150 Texas edition. It's all well and good, and there's definitely a lesson to be learned about you don't need a enthusiast car to go to enthusiast events. I think that's something that we'll definitely be talking about.
No, you don't.
But
Well, because there's lots of different niches of enthusiasts.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a whole
Yeah.
That's a good topic in itself.
But I had the fear of missing out and wanted, just like what everyone else, you want to fit in. You want to be able to park next to somebody in your car, and that guy says, "Hey, you have a cool car," and that spawns a conversation.
Yeah.
It's cool to be involved in that. So I started the search for a interesting car. Lo and behold, there was a vehicle for sale. It was a 2003 Corvette Z06, 32,000 miles.
Yep.
So barely anything. And I did what no one should ever do and buy an old car before they look at it,
Yep.
signing paperwork
From another state.
from another state, honestly just from Florida.
Well,
Actually, Florida would be a pretty good place to buy cars in general.
except for Miami. I've heard Miami's full of a bunch of scummy dealerships, but
Yeah, Miami. But if you stay around like Naples area, basically where, again, all of the retirees are.
yeah. In theory, it should be fine.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. So anyway, that Corvette came up, and it was not right. We actually took it out on its maiden voyage. I got it,
Yeah.
and it was raining,
Yep.
so I just drove it home. By the way, my only vehicle.
Yeah. So the first weekend that he had this thing, he came to me and he was like, "Hey, can I borrow your truck this weekend?"
Yes.
Because at this point I had my Ram 1500 that you've seen, and he just went and traded his truck for a Corvette, and of course that's the way it happens. Is the first weekend you need a truck again.
Yes.
So-
Yeah. That was
So, yeah,
very well planned.
I think the first 3 days that you had that car, I actually drove it more than you did, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. So
But-
it was actually his fault. Obviously.
Well,
No, it definitely wasn't. So, so I bought it on a Friday. Saturday, drove it over to you. Sunday, got it back. We went for a little drive. I was hearing some noises, some creaks, some rattles, some little things. I thought, okay, well, car from 2003, made out of plastic, whatever.
yep. Nailed together in Kentucky by two guys called Bud and Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
20 years ago.
Yeah, motor's gonna be fine. The panels, they don't need to align. That's not that's not the important part.
Tesla still does that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And people give them money hand over fist.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yep.
that it does work. It really does work.
And I have a Tesla hat right here just because I knew it would annoy him.
Yeah, I'm not
So-
not a big fan of Teslas. Anyway, so again, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I have a technician who has a lot of experience with General Motors. He worked as a master technician at GM while the C5s are still being built. Wealth of knowledge, really good guy. He racked up the car, he started it, got it rolling on the rack, and immediately said, "Dude, this is not good." I proceeded to put a new clutch, flywheel, slave, master cylinder in it. That was due to the master cylinder failing, leaking all of the clutch fluid out, which effectively started a chain reaction of the entire system and wore out my clutch. So that was fun.
Yep.
I then put a new harmonic balancer on it because that one is going out. Believe it or not, General Motors had figured out that the harmonic balancer can be a wear item. Don't know how that works.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, in all reality, the harmonic balancer, or a dampener, that's kind of an interchangeable term. That was one of the weak points on those engines, commonly known, and that one was going out. It can cause a lot of damage if it actually fails. So luckily you can catch it quick, and I got a new one of those. Also found out that it had a bent radiator, a bent upper radiator support. The steering rack was going out, and the motor itself probably needed a top end rebuild.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, I couldn't go far enough into it. So now, of course, you're thinking, wow, you bought a 19-year-old car and it had issues. Yes. Yes, I did. Yes, I am an idiot. Unfortunately, at the price that vehicle was bought, it was kind of bought at a needs nothing kind of price.
Right.
And it was not a needs nothing kind of car.
Yeah.
I am getting married soon. I do have to have some sort of financial sense, or else I will be living out of my vehicle. So I ended up getting rid of that very recently for my first foreign vehicle.
Yeah.
Fully assembled in San Antonio, Texas.
So still not far off.
Yeah, not far off. I now have a Toyota Tundra.
Yes.
And it's great. It's still a 5.7 liter V8.
Yep.
Which is very, very interesting.
Which is funny because your fiance's car, your total garage displacement is 11 liters.
11 liters, yep.
And it was also 11 liters when you had the Corvette.
Yep. Yep. But now, so I have the Tundra, and telling myself now, I'm going to put myself into vehicle purgatory for at least a year till I can regain the finances to get something cool again and hopefully do it right. Do I see that happening? No, I really don't. I don't think I have the self-control. But we'll see. You never know what's going to happen. So yeah, that's kind of my car lineage. Of course, I do the most I can to learn as much about cars as possible. My first job was at a mechanic shop. I was a janitor. It's what they had as an opening, and I just wanted to be there. So I would sit around and watch them put wheels and tires on cars. I would take pictures for their Instagram. It was funny, the first day, a Acura NSX came through. And the last day I was there, the guy was, he brought it back in to prep it to sell. Because during that time, that was 2015, NSXs were just starting to shoot up in value. But that was super cool. And, there were a bunch of cool cars, trucks, Jeeps that were coming through there. And I just like to sit in the shop and listen to the technicians and like what they were doing to the vehicles, what needed what, how to do it, and just kind of soak up that knowledge.
Yeah, definitely.
I always try to work in car dealerships. I worked at a Jeep dealership again as a janitor. I have a college education, by the way. So take that as you will. I don't know if you should do that or not, but I've been a janitor twice. But those are my two favorite jobs.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something about it, being around cars, that just always made me happy. When I graduated college, I worked for a heavy equipment company. That company actually had a good amount of people who were car enthusiasts. Unfortunately, it was also during COVID, so we were talking to each other via screen. There wasn't really a whole lot we could do.
Yeah.
But for the 1 month I was there, physically there, we were in Charlotte, North Carolina. The Charlotte Cars and Coffee is great.
Yeah.
You have, of course, a lot of the Americana, Mustangs, Camaros, Challengers, a lot of the old stuff, some guys with brand new things that they'll bring out there to show off. But I think North Carolina is actually really growing as like a state for car enthusiasts.
Yeah.
With the relatively cheap price of living, especially compared to like California or even especially compared to California.
Well, yeah, where we live right now is on the higher end of the state, but compared to a lot of other places, it's still nothing.
Yeah, well, even then, like you go to Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, like it's insane. So I think there's a lot of people, especially coming up from Atlanta, coming over from California and Texas, that really enjoy this state, and we have so many great roads that you do have a lot of interesting stuff. I saw plenty of E30s, Z32s, Porsche 944s. So that was great. Again, I just didn't get to really take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And now, of course, we both work for a car dealership.
Yeah. Yeah, so while I was in school, I did not work for a car dealership or anything car related. I worked in a shoe store because it was just a fairly easy, basic retail job, and it didn't pay a whole lot, but it.
Cheap shoes.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, that's actually where the majority of my shoes that I still wear came from. Until actually the ones that I'm wearing right now, I haven't bought a pair of shoes in almost 2 years, I don't think. But anyway, that was what I did mainly while I was in school, and I also did freelance photography for a little while, which sort of transitioned me into more recently making YouTube videos. And since then, I've actually I sold the camera that I was using for photography before, and just recently bought this one that we're recording on right now, and what I've used in the last 2 videos, which is a Sony ZV-E10, just a basic little vlog camera.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a decent little entry point into video anyway. Better than just a GoPro. But anyway, so after school, I decided that I wanted to get into dealerships. And the easiest way for me to get in at that time was just in sales. Or at least the way I looked at it was that was the easiest way for me to have more money-making potential. That is, of course, dependent on whether you're actually good at sales or not.
Yes.
And I was not.
Very good point.
I will freely admit that I was not.
Yeah.
So I wasn't the worst, but I did kind of just scrape by for a few years in sales, and and now I'm on the reconditioning side, and I love it.
Yeah.
And it's much better, and there will be hopefully more career progression on this side as well. So
You have to agree, though, that sometimes in car sales, being a car enthusiast can actually hurt you.
yes, definitely.
As much as it can help you.
Yeah, definitely.
You have someone who comes in telling you they're looking for something comfortable, good gas mileage, and wants but they want it to feel good and drive good, and you recommend them a vehicle, and then they say, no, I want a Nissan Rogue.
Yeah.
It's hard to not be physically disappointed in them for that. People are in charge of themselves, and it's a free country, but I mean, in all, like it would take all of my strength to sell them on why they should be buying a Ford EcoSport instead of trying to find a really nice E92 BMW or something like that. Something that would actually give them value and be a good vehicle for them.
Yeah, the first dealership that I worked at was a Mazda dealership, and I went into it thinking, oh, I'm going to get to be around Miatas and talk about Miatas, and it'll be great because it's Mazda and enthusiasts buy Mazdas, and I did not sell a single MX-5 in the entire year I worked there.
You didn't sell one?
No.
Well, really?
This was also during COVID, so we didn't hardly have any, but 90% of what I sold was CX-5s. So,
Yeah, I would have figured that, but that's definitely something that I ran into as well. It's just not good business, those enthusiast cars.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're harder to find, like the Miatas and the BMWs in a manual. Most people that buy BMWs are buying it because they want something fancy.
Yeah.
The way they drive is not even on their priority list. They only want to make sure it doesn't have any creaks or rattles or whatever, which BMWs can have.
Well,
so that can be a detractor.
Yeah. So then the second dealership I worked for was a Ford store, and actually I did get to be around more enthusiasts at the Ford store because I actually, I was going to say because whatever, but I actually don't know why. Because they don't make as many enthusiast cars as they used to at the moment, but somehow that just happened, both from the customer side and from the actual people that I worked with as well.
Yeah.
And so that was good, but
Ford has a following, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's a stronger overall culture than like what Mazda would be. Obviously, you go to a Miata owners club meet, and yes, there's plenty of enthusiasm for those cars, but there's normal people that have the desire to own a Mustang or an F-150 or a Bronco or any of those older vehicles, and even like what used to be Focus STs and RSs. I do. It actually doesn't surprise me too much that you had a few more enthusiasts in there.
Yeah. Now that said, the majority of what I sold was still trucks.
Yeah.
But that's just
me.
That's Ford overall. You know. But that's not the end of the world, because most of the Super Duties and some of the F-150s do have a lot of gross or profit margin in them, so you can make decent money off of them. But even if you're like me, and I had a month at the Ford store where I sold 6 cars and made $5,000.
Oof.
So
Wow, I mean, making $5,000 isn't the worst thing on earth, but
yeah. Anyway, so
yeah. So now that we've killed our credibility, and proven that we'll never succeed.
Let me continue to do that by listing off all the cars I've had.
Oh God!
Because you just went through every single one of yours.
Yeah.
So even though most of them have been on this channel already, I'll run through them because I'm younger than him, and I've had 10 cars in my entire life now.
And people still think that I have a problem.
Yeah, because they haven't met me yet.
That's a good point.
So yes, my first car, well, what I tell people my first car was a 2006 VW Passat wagon. It was a 3.6 liter VR6 4Motion wagon. That was actually technically my second car, because my first car was a Hyundai Sonata.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. It was not a bad car on the surface, but I just bought it because it was insanely cheap, and I was just desperate for some kind of transportation, which I think a lot of people can relate to. And it lasted about 3 months, and the motor blew through a rod. So
again, probably not funny, but it's just...
No, looking back on it, it was funny. At the time, it was like, fuck. But yeah. So then I had the Passat. I crashed that. Rear-ended somebody. That was not one of my finest moments, but then I went to an Infiniti G35, which...
You didn't like that one, did you?
No, it was a really good car, but I actually hated it. Because what I wanted was a BMW. And I wanted an F30 Generation 3 Series, but at that point I couldn't afford one yet. So I bought this G35 in the meantime, because I was like, oh, it'll be reliable, and it'll be, still a semi-cool car to have in the meantime. And it was a really good car, handled well. It was in decent condition, but as soon as I could afford a 3 Series, that's what I got. So that's why I jumped into my first F30 and had that for a little bit, realized it was on the brink of needing a new turbo and timing issues and all that. Yeah, it was a higher mileage car. I put 25,000 miles in a year on it. So
you do put a lot of miles on your cars.
I do. Yeah. And so then I traded that for a Volkswagen Alltrack, which was the first car that you saw on this channel. Then there was technically including it in the 10, even though I have tried to forget about it, a Nissan Rogue. Then
wait,
which
what was that? That was the Rogue that you...
Yeah, that was...
Oh, no.
You know what that one is, but
we forgive him.
But
for what he's done.
I'm technically including that in the 10. So then I went to my white 330 wagon, the second F30, or technically F31, which I did.
That's the one you had when I met you.
Yep, that was what I had at the beginning of 2022.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool car. I actually liked that one. We all liked it. That was a nice ride.
Yeah, that was actually, I think, still my favorite car I've had.
That makes sense.
I didn't do a whole lot to it as far as modifications. I tuned it, and that was really about it.
And you put a tow hitch on it.
Actually, the hitch was on it when I bought it.
It was already on it.
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
But that's what got me into. I was going to say got me into towing. That sounds like I'm a towing enthusiast.
Quite lame. If I say so myself.
That's not the image I want to have. But No, but that was my intro into towing, so which is why I bought a little utility trailer. And it's actually been really useful, which there were people that really doubted that when I bought it. So anyway, what did I... Oh, I had the Ram. That's right. How did I forget about that? Yeah, I decided I wanted a truck. And...
that's when I was starting to wear off on you a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
and what I should have done at that time was keep the BMW and just spend like a couple grand on a cheap beater truck, just to, satisfy that want. And what I ended up doing was trading the BMW for the Ram 1500, and it was not a bad truck. It was good, but
It was really nice.
Yeah,
My fiance loved it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
Which is funny because the only truck that you haven't owned now is a Ram. Actually, and a Titan.
Yeah, I haven't owned a Titan, but yeah, I've had a F-150, a Silverado, and a Tundra so far. Yeah. Which, by the way, my fiance is from Texas. Mm-hmm. She is a stereotype of Texas. Anything smaller than a Ford F-150 is considered a Tonka truck and is not allowed.
Yeah.
So therefore, your most recent...
I found this on the web.
Professional. Anyway. So, and your 10th vehicle doesn't count.
Well,
to her as anything, but so that's why she liked the Ram. Which actually, another side off the side, she did like the Corvette. Mm-hmm. She thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. But anyway, I was taking over.
Yeah. The from just a purely just an enjoyment side, yes, she loved that car. From the Minister of Finance point of view, am I gonna get in trouble for saying that?
I don't know.
Barbara's not going to watch this anyway.
No, she won't.
Okay, then anyway, so we'll call her the Minister of Finance.
Sad but true.
Anyway, so yes, I had this Ram 1500 for 6 months because I just drove it to him from work. I did do some truck stuff with it. Used it to get mulch and haul stuff around, and it was good. He borrowed it when he moved, which is when I had the Corvette. And the other GoPro's SD card is full now.
That's good.
Nice.
All right.
So I just eventually decided that I didn't actually like driving a giant truck every day. I missed having something fun, something fast that I could throw around corners. Which is why I now have an Audi S4. Mm-hmm. So
which you were not shopping for.
No, I was actually not looking for an S4. I don't think I've actually talked about that too much in detail. I've mentioned it in videos, but I was looking for a hot hatch again. I was deciding between Golf R and Veloster N, and I decided to just randomly do an Auto Trader search for S4s because I was thinking that they were probably going to all be out of my budget for nice ones. And came across this one. It was at the very top end of what I wanted to spend, and it was a little bit higher mileage than I would have liked, but it's it's not crazy high mileage. But either way, I went and looked at it, drove it, and ended up buying it. So because it was also about getting the trade-in number that I was looking for the Ram. Because part of the reason I've been able to switch through cars so often is because the last little bit I haven't really lost any money on any of them since the way the car market's been. So now I have an Audi S4, and part of buying that was I was going to buy a beater truck this time. And I was looking at Rangers and stuff like that. I almost bought a 5-speed Ranger, but they just wanted too much money for it. And
they wanted probably like $1,000.
No, it was a decent one. It was like in the 4 to 5 range. Like it was low mileage. It was clean. It was a nice little truck, but wasn't the right deal. So then, sorry, I have to drink water, otherwise I'm going to lose my voice here. Then somebody at work had a Subaru Baja, And I'm actually now the third person at our dealership to own this particular Baja, but
It's stayed in the family.
yeah, I'll have a video coming on that very soon. I'm going to be filming it tomorrow, the day after we're recording this. I have no idea what order these are going to go out in, but anyway, we decided that we were going to wholesale this Baja from work. We weren't going to build it and retail it, so I jumped on it, and it cost me $4,000. It's an '06. It's got 154,000 miles on it, and so now I have both a 2018 Audi S4 and a 2006 Subaru Baja. So I actually have
no one ever except for you.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody else that has those two.
I don't think
And
so.
I also now have, I'm also now in your boat where I don't have a reliable car anymore between either of them.
Yeah, you used to be. Well, I mean, the S4 seems to be doing okay for you.
Well, except for the wheel bearing and the coolant level sensor that I put in it right after I bought it.
Yeah. Okay, so you have a wheel bearing. I had
Yeah,
the
it's
clutch.
No, it's not as bad as the Corvette. I know that, but I guess we'll see. The at least it doesn't have any oil leaks, like the Subaru.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, which one doesn't have oil leaks again? Because I know the Subaru does.
Yeah,
Yeah, his Subaru definitely has a rear main seal leak.
yeah.
But that's okay, because...
But the benefit is it came from one of the techs at our work who told me everything that's wrong with it. So I know everything that was wrong with it before I bought it.
Yeah.
Unlike
Open
the
and
Corvette.
transparent, yeah.
And
It's important.
and even with the issues that it has at $4,000, which is what I paid for it, it's still about half what that car is actually worth retail. So, so theoretically,
I just touched the lav mic. That'll probably be
oh good.
nice and annoying for you to edit.
Well, actually us drinking water and swallowing is probably going to be hell too.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be
But
interesting.
anyway,
We haven't done this before.
yeah,
If you
if you couldn't tell, I don't even know how far into this we are because
No, neither do I.
I haven't been looking at the time or anything.
No, I mean, it's funny. I have a watch, and I don't know when we started. I only know what time it is now.
Yeah, I know we've been going for at least 20 minutes, but
At least.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, that sounds like a good opportunity to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Formula One and lose anybody that was still watching.
Yeah, that's I don't know why anyone would ever watch this, but if you are still here, stay tuned.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that and also something else. So don't go anywhere. Well, you're not going to because it's going to be an instant cut right now.
Oh, man.
Just boom.
And we are back.
Well, he is. I'm
Yeah.
off camera, but this
Yeah.
is his section now.
Oh, it's all right.
We'll do joint F1 stuff going forward, but honestly, I haven't really been paying attention to it this week. So
Yeah. That's fair. And there actually is a good bit to talk about. So, full disclosure, I have always been a motorsports fan. Going back to NASCAR, watching Jeff Gordon, he was always my favorite. Of course, I'm not a bandwagon fan because he won 0 championships ever since I started watching. But always a big Jeff Gordon fan. I did watch a little bit of Le Mans, the CompuWare Corvettes and things like that. Flying Lizard 911 RSRs, all that kind of cool stuff. And of course, F1. I am definitely an average fan by all accounts. I am not an analyst. I am nothing really special, but I figured this would be a kind of a fun segment to go over some news, and eventually we'll be including Andrew, and we'll be just kind of having a good back and forth on what's going on in motorsports news. For now, I think today is just going to be about F1. There are a couple of pretty big things to talk about. Right now, they are in Mexico, so the Mexican Minister of Defense will hopefully be taking a victory there. I'm a pretty big Checo fan, so that's it'd be awesome to see him win in front of his home crowd. It's always special to see him go by and hear everyone screaming, hooting, hollering. It's just as cool as seeing Ferraris in Imola. Everyone's going crazy. Everyone wants them to win. It's so cool to see like all that enthusiasm and all the passion Because it's beyond the politics and beyond it being a status. It's just, you have your national pride and just something so special happening. So definitely cheering for Checo tomorrow. Hope he does well. But speaking of Checo and Verstappen, the FIA have officially released the cost cap breach that Red Bull had been accused of. So it looks like they had, after tax credits, breached the cost cap of 2021 by around 437,000 euros. Which sounds like a ton, but considering that before the cost cap, they were spending near of €500 million, doesn't seem like too big a deal, I guess. The FIA does have set rules and basically what happens if you break those rules by a certain percentage. This, of course, being a small budget cap breach that led to minor sanctions. They have to pay $7 million. Yes, they overblew it by euros and have to spend $7 million. I don't know why. Maybe America gets it. I don't know. But they also lost 10% of their wind tunnel time. And to me, I think that'd be the most important thing to lose. The money's the money, but you already knew that they had more money than the cost cap. So I think finding them is just kind of a frivolous thing. I honestly just hope it goes to charity or whatever. But losing 10% of your wind tunnel time is, I think, a pretty big deal. Considering the development of this brand new car that no one seems to have a very good handle on, but except for them, I think that might hinder their chances of staying this dominant force. Mercedes is always improving. Ferrari, if they can overcome themselves, should be a better competitor next year. So seeing that 10% reduction is very crazy. Unless I got that number wrong and it's smaller and I'm just making an ass out of myself. You never know.
Which is possible.
Yeah, very possible. You never know.
There's going to be a lot of that on this show, which is why.
Yes.
Which is why I said at the beginning that podcast may be too formal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is why I'm just going to refer to it on this channel as a new series.
Yeah, but of course I'm looking at it on my phone and I am correct, so thank you very much. Definitely could have checked that one before. So I think that's going to be pretty impactful for them, honestly. Again, monetary, who cares? They have so much damn money. Red Bull especially, and Mercedes and Ferrari. That was never the issue. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think Red Bull will turn into a Haas or Aston Martin or anything like that. Of course, Aston Martin fans will say that they're on their way up. Whatever, we'll see. But yeah, I think that is pretty interesting and a pretty big slap on the wrist overall. So you got that. The next thing that I'm particularly excited about was the announcement that Logan Sargent, the American F2 driver, will get the seat for Williams next year to replace his Lord and Savior, Nicholas Latifi. He will be missed. We do miss him doing 360s for the fans and taking alternate routes at Suzuka, just to try to, create good variation and, make the fans happy. That's all he was about, of course. He is not guaranteed, Logan Sargent. He still needs to obtain his super license, which, if I am correct, he is still in position to get. Basically, he has to accrue enough points via his finishing positions in F2 to be allowed that license to have a seat in Formula One. If I am not mistaken, he needs to be at least 5th in the driver standings by the end of Abu Dhabi, which he is in position to achieve. And I think that's going to be amazing. America has been on and off F1 fans, from Watkins Glen to Indianapolis and now Circuit of the Americas, Miami, Las Vegas. It's the market's gotten so much bigger in America, especially. Drive to Survive, no doubt, has kickstarted that. And I think having an American driver is really, really going to help them out and help them boost the North American market even more. I, for one, am going to be very excited to see Logan Sargent in a Williams. We know what the Williams can do with Alex Albon. If you have someone cunning with good strategy, they could be mixing it up there, It's definitely no secret that they're not the strongest team. But I think with the right drivers and the right strategy and a little bit of development, they're going to be able to do well. Of course, I just have a little bit of blind faith because Williams is such a historic team, and I always want to see them do well. But I think Logan Sargent would be a good addition. And who knows, with an American entering F1, if he is able to attract the attention and the enthusiasm that we're all hoping for, that could mean that Williams would be able to get a little bit more cash flow. That's always the issue. It's really just money. If you look at who finishes top of F1, it's not 1-to-1, but the teams with more money are tending to do better. And there's no secret about it. So I hope that Logan Sargent will get his super license and drive for Williams next year. If he does, I'm going to be very excited. And hopefully that's only good things for Williams. Again, very sad to see Latifi go. Not really. He sucked. He was pretty bad. The only redeeming quality of Latifi was Nikita Mazepin. But, of course, Haas started a war between Russia and Ukraine to get him fired. So that's my conspiracy theory, at least. But anyway, that's kind of all I have for F1 news. So we will turn off this camera, return on the camera over there, and Andrew will join us in a conversation he might actually know something about.
All right, we're back. Or I'm back. He was already back. I was still here, technically, just off camera. Between the last shot, the water bottle that was right here disappeared. Mm-hmm. So that's fun. So we wanted to talk about the state of the car market, because even though that is a somewhat oversaturated topic on YouTube right now, at least for the videos that I watch, it is still a good thing to talk about. Mm-hmm. And obviously, since we're both in dealerships, plural, or well, we're in the same dealership mm-hmm. right now, but we have been around it, and we've seen it firsthand. So
we're in that field, so that is pretty pertinent to us, and it's something we actually have firsthand knowledge of.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That's just less words.
Yeah,
to get
like
there.
Anything else we talk about.
So, and that's actually too. I did want to mention where the name Impact Damage came from.
Yeah.
Which I was going to mention that earlier, and then I forgot. Mm-hmm. So, you are the inventory manager right now at the dealership that we work at. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you do is handling arbitration cases. For those that don't know, basically when you buy a car from auction, if it has issues that you did not know about before you bought it, mm-hmm. you can go to the auction and say, look, this is what's wrong with it, and try to get some money back or the car bought back, depending on mm-hmm. how serious it is. And one of the terms that you have to use, that I've been learning a lot of the arbitration stuff lately because I'm hoping to be an inventory manager one day. I've learned that one of the terms you have to use, you can't use accident.
Nope, no. So, and I'll take over real quick.
You can explain that.
Because you would think that if you got a vehicle and it was crunched in.
And that one just overheated again.
So
that lasted like 12 seconds.
Cool. But you would think you get a vehicle in, unless it's just crunched in at the front, you could just say, hey, this car's been in an accident. When it comes to the auction and their wording, basically they're going to try to use anything they can to not help you.
Right.
They want to keep the deal intact. They say they're a 50-50 between the buyer and the seller when they're in between doing these arbitrations. That's normally not the case. They're normally on the seller's side because that's where the money is made. The money is not made when I try to kick a vehicle back to them.
Yeah.
So there is special wording that you have to use when you're doing these cases. And part of those is if you see damage on a vehicle, you have to call it impact damage. Because if you say accident damage, the seller can say, no, this car has never been in an accident,
Right.
and just deny your claim.
Right.
Even if the damage is there. Because they said, no, you said this was caused by another vehicle? No, this was caused by a tree. Done.
Yeah.
But that's what they'll do to try to not take the car back.
Yeah. Because then I believe, right, even collision can be
Yes,
in that same
sometimes,
sense, right?
Yeah, because they could try to interpret that as two vehicles running into
Right.
one another. At the end of the day, you have to be very blunt and obvious with your wording and say there has been an impact.
Right. So,
Hence,
yeah. So how that relates to this show is that it's relevant to what we do for work, and this is also going to be a shit show.
yeah, for sure.
This is the result of, this is the impact damage right here that you are watching.
Yes.
Because so that's where that came from. It wasn't, who suggested it? Was it your dad, or was it?
It was, so my dad and I were kind of riffing on what would be a good name. Mm-hmm. And, funny enough, he was like, oh, you should call it accident damage. I'm like, no,
yeah.
You can't say, oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah. There you go.
I was like, impact damage, there you go.
Yeah. So there you are, impact damage. And on that note, let's just jump right back into the state of the car market right now. Because as everybody knows, the car market has been, I can't think of another good term other than just really fucked.
Yeah, kind of, honestly.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
it's-
very professional, and I'm going to have to bleep that now, but that's what it's been for the last almost 3 years. So the thing is, though, right now we are starting to see a shift again, and it will be, I think, a shift which ends up being good for consumers.
Yeah, for sure.
So, it's been, like I mentioned before, the way that I've traded through cars so often is, at least for the last little bit anyway, is because I haven't really lost any money on them. I mean, I had my white BMW for, give or take, a year. I put over 20,000 miles on it and didn't lose any money. So the shift is that retail prices, for the most part, haven't started to change yet. At least in the world where we work, our brand, our dealership, they have. But from what I've seen in general, they haven't. What has started to shift, though, is auction values.
Yes.
By far. And so hopefully that will, that will catch up eventually.
Yeah, and what wholesale pricing changes should mean to the consumer is, you're right, that is not an immediate shift in retail pricing. As a matter of fact, dealers will, for the short term, take advantage of that by continuing to keep the price up. But what that means is demand for new vehicles and slightly used vehicles is going down.
Yes.
The supply chain is starting to catch up marginally, I should say. And that will be affecting the types of vehicles effectively that are still being made. So anything like your Ford F-150s and pickup trucks, your normal cars, your Camrys, your Corollas, all the litany of SUVs being made, all the way up through your Mercedes and things like that. Any mass production car is seeing a drop in their auction value.
Yep.
Now, what isn't seeing a change
is the Subaru Baja.
Which is unfortunate. What isn't seeing a change are still the one-offs and the enthusiast cars and the cars that will never be made again.
Right.
Case in point, the Corvette, those prices are going down marginally because believe it or not, even with dealer markups, if you walk into a Chevrolet dealership and say, I would like a Corvette, somewhere, some way, they will make you a Corvette.
Yeah.
Same thing with like a 911 and, of course, any normal cars. Now, you take something like a Ford Focus RS, a vehicle that most normal people would say is not as cool or valuable as a Corvette, of course, or any of those other enthusiast cars. But the key is they don't make it anymore. And cars that are, I guess, of a certain generation or a moment in time, those cars might never go back down in value. I use the Ford Focus RS. Those cars were in the mid 40s when they were sold. They went down into the mid 30s. They kind of stayed in the mid 30s. And unless you're going to buy one with 100,000 miles or more or has a major issue, I don't see those cars getting much cheaper. I really don't. Same thing with any of the 90s JDM era cars. Those cars are not going to be affected by these wholesale auction prices as much. Maybe a small marginal difference on like NA Z32s and things like that. But yeah, no, the unobtainium, the cars that we all wish would go back down in value.
Yes.
Those cars probably will not be going down in value. But if you're looking for a 330i, the prices are going down.
Yes.
And I think we've already seen that.
Yeah. Well, I experienced it myself when I sold my Ram, because that was the first one out of like the last 4 or 5 cars that I've had that I actually did lose a little bit of money on. Not a significant amount. I only lost $2,000, which, I mean, that's a lot of money, but when the truck is worth 40 grand, that's not as big of a percentage. So, yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. And another thing that I'm seeing too is the fact that over the last 3 years, or 2.5 years, whatever, the average new vehicle price and payment has been going up steadily. I'm looking at the statistic that I'm looking at right now is from JD Power. As of July 22, the average new vehicle sale price in this country was $45,000, almost $46,000. And I don't have the average payment right in front of me, but the last one I saw was like $730 something.
Yeah, it was somewhere in the $700 a month range,
which is just insane,
ridiculous.
But what worries me is that now the shift that we're starting to see, another shift that we're starting to see, is the effect of inflation overall and interest rates and things like that. Is that people that have bought or are continuing to buy these cars for $700 some a month that they may not be able to afford or just barely able to afford, that can't last very much longer.
No.
I mean, now it might, but it shouldn't, and I don't think people are going to come out on top of that.
No.
And I think that's going to happen pretty soon, because I've also seen repo numbers are going up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That isn't good. You can draw parallels to what happened in 2006 with the housing market crash.
Yep.
Not in any political, social sense. We're not in tune with that. That's something that we'll ever be talking about on this show, to be honest.
Yeah.
But, you won't see something that dramatic, I don't think. I think people still have enough money to, somewhat afford these cars. But yeah, you are seeing, I think we have already seen the top of the mountain.
Definitely.
And we are kind of on our way down. I don't see a car market crash per se. I don't think dealerships are going to have 1,500 cars on their lot ever again that they can't get rid of and offering 20 to 30% off of MSRP. But you're right. At this point, we have a almost unsustainable level of money being spent on these vehicles.
Yeah.
And, what caused it, obviously you have a supply chain shortage, and you had, people got back to work and had to get cars again. To be honest, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why it even happened in the first place, and why it's hanging out for so long. Maybe because people are saying that they can finance it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I just, like you just said, unsustainable is probably the best word for it. I just don't know. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, and also too, I don't know how much longer it's going to be before repo numbers and things like that start absolutely shooting through the roof because of these people that are buying these cars at 7%, 9%, 12% interest, and then with everything else in the world rising, inflation-wise, like I'm not gonna throw out a name here, but there is somebody that we also work with who is almost experiencing this himself right now. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
He sold his house earlier this year, made a good profit off of it, but he put a lot of that money that he made off of his house into a new car at a decently high interest rate. And now that he's been in it for a few months, he's actually starting to lose money every month, and he's having to sell it now.
Yeah.
So I just don't know how much longer it's going to be before we start seeing that a lot.
Yeah, and it definitely should be said, we're not hoping that people lose a lot. I really don't want that to happen. A lot of car enthusiasts are sitting there celebrating the day where they can just go back into a dealership and beat them up. Yeah. And from a dealer perspective, yes, we work for a car dealership. I cannot wait to be able to beat up car dealerships again.
Yeah, me too.
I promise you, they're fine. They make plenty of money. You are not going to be ruining their day or their lives by playing games with them, because they are playing games with you. I promise you that.
Oh yeah.
But again, I really hope the car market settles down, but I hope it settles in a way to where people aren't losing too much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think some people will. Our friend is thankfully not in a bad state, but
No.
it is unfortunate.
Yeah.
I've also lost plenty of money on car transactions, but that's my fault because I bought a broken Corvette sight unseen.
Yeah.
So just don't do that, first off.
Yeah, just don't do that and you'll be fine.
But I mean, I'm even having to think about, I can't just keep swapping in and out of cars, especially with the way the car market's going, unless I went from having a nicer, like a 2018 Tundra, to going to, name your old, fun, quirky, semi-broken vehicles. Your 944s, E30 BMWs. I know I say those two a lot, but they are pretty good. So
yeah. And I'm kind of at the same point, because I'm hoping now, personally, that having two very different vehicles right now will actually enable me to keep both of them longer. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but that's kind of part of my thinking. And honestly, at this point, I'm just going to hold on to these two until we start to see more of an effect of what this is going to be, and kind of just go from there, I guess. Yeah. I'm probably going to lose my ass on this S4.
Well, you put so many miles on cars.
Well, that doesn't help too.
That hurts you.
Yeah, that doesn't help either, because the last little while it's been used cars that have 30, 40,000 miles on them are selling for the same as new ones. That is going to be a bigger change too. But like he said too, we're even though we do work in dealerships, I've bought and sold enough cars to know already, even though I am young, that dealerships are just
Not great.
Yeah.
Not
I was
great.
I was thinking
Yeah.
about what sort of word I wanted to use for that, and that's a nice family friendly way.
Yeah, it's and again, like in some way, I feel bad putting this grouping the car dealership as some mean big old monster. But trust me, the dealerships have been making money off of this.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
They were only struggling in the past 3 years at the very beginning of COVID during lockdown. And like, guys, you know when a car dealership is struggling. You
Yeah.
will see a very full lot. You will see employees out, like basically on the street, trying to reel you in.
Yeah.
And on a more like high level area, you'll see like their financing offers. Like April 2020, Toyota was struggling to get Supras out the door to the point where you could finance a Supra for 0%.
Yeah. Which 0% doesn't actually exist, but that's a
Well,
whole nother.
yeah, it's
But no, it's a good point though. It's a really good point though.
But they were offering an aggressive deal on a pretty hot commodity.
Yeah.
Good luck, even right now, good luck a year ago, walking into a Toyota dealership and saying, I would like a Supra, please.
Yeah.
If they even had one, it would be marked up.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let you do anything to the price because they know eventually someone will come in and buy that car.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, on the Toyota thing, RAV4 Prime.
Oh my gosh.
Remember that one that was like 90 grand or something?
Yeah, there's like a RAV4 Prime in California for like $100,000
Yeah.
for a RAV4.
Yeah. I think most people
That's-
that are watching this have already remember that, but I'll throw it up on the screen again if I can find it.
Yeah, it was it was around 100 grand, but yeah, and like GR86s that are either not available new or $37,000 to $45,000 used with a couple thousand miles. I mean, there's probably even dealers that will, and I know this has happened. They will title the car, and a GSM will drive it or a GM will drive it, and then sell it back.
Right.
Just so they can mark the price up more.
Yeah.
They might have their big front saying they're not going to mark up a new vehicle, and sure they won't, and that's great for the people that can buy new vehicles, but their used cars are going to be very expensive
Yeah.
because there are a lot less consumer protections and less conflicts of interest on used cars than new cars. Because I'm sure you've seen in the news about Ford trying to go after their dealers for marking up.
Yep.
Chevy's trying to go after them with a C8 Z06.
Yep.
That won't work. I'll just say that right now. I don't think that's
Yeah.
going to work. I think Z06s will be very, very marked up. But, again, the car dealerships will find a way to get around that and make money for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess in summary, though, the good news is that the used vehicle market should be starting to stabilize a little bit over the next few months. I actually just found this graph that you can't see right now.
I can't see what's on his computer.
I just found this graph. It's the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index.
Okay.
And it pretty much since January of 2020, it just looks like, and now, since the start of this year, it's slowly starting to come like that.
Yeah.
I'll throw this up on the screen right now too. But anyway, the exact numbers here, I have no idea what they mean. But the point is that they are coming down. And I'm just worried still about the people that did not make the greatest decisions during all this. So for the majority of people, it's good news. For a group of people, it's probably not good news. Right now, it hasn't crashed like you said earlier. I don't think it's going to crash either. But
No, I don't think it will.
it hasn't completely shit itself. But I guess we'll just have to see what it does over the next few months. But
Yeah.
it is trending in a good way, though.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And again, with my position and what you do to help me out, I see the auction value actually from Mannheim. That's
Yeah.
one of the very common auctions, probably the biggest one in the nation, if I had to guess. I'm pretty sure it is. And I like to keep track to the best of my ability, but I will see similar vehicles that we bought 6 months ago cheaper now than they were then.
Yep.
On their wholesale value.
Yep.
And I'm pretty proud of the fact that our dealership tends to not mark vehicles like that up. I would say that we're pretty fair and lenient on our pricing, which, it's not a feel-good story, trust me. But it is just nice to see that all this craziness is over, and hopefully people will not be raked over the coals.
Yeah.
Which, again, sometimes if you need a car, you need a car. I get it. We are the worst examples of people
Yes.
that just get fully taken advantage of, honestly.
Yep.
But you can be smart during this time now,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, like you just said, we are not good examples. However, being in the business means that we also know how to make decent decisions on it. Mm-hmm. And so,
We say that.
Well, except for the Corvette.
Ignore
Yeah,
ignore that.
except for that.
Oh boy.
But yeah, it'll just be interesting to see what it does over the next few months. And this is a topic I think that we'll keep coming back to on this show.
Yeah, for sure.
Every little bit when we see a major shift or something, some new headline, we'll mention it. Yeah. And I guess we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And, to be fair, I would say this is one of the more serious topics we have. We're very excited to get into topics of you have $30,000, what do you want to buy, and things that we've done, and just talking about car enthusiasm as a whole and vehicles that we want to talk about. But this is important because having the knowledge on this will allow us to have new experiences and get new cars and be able to go to Cars and Coffee and car shows and, be able to just talk about it.
yeah, and I wanted to include this segment because it sort of ties this whole episode together of who we are and what we're going to be doing with this show. But yeah, like you said, we've got both have individually lists of topics that we want to do, and even in the beginning of this, we mentioned like 3 or 4 that I was like, oh, that'd be a good topic.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how long we've been going for now, but I feel like this might be a good place to wrap it up.
This might be a show. This might be a show at this point.
Because in our little break earlier, I went back and watched the or part of the first clip that we shot there, and it was like 40 minutes, and it did not feel like it at all.
No, it didn't.
We were gonna try to keep this under an hour, but I don't think that happened.
Not this time.
If you've made it this far, you'll see what the timestamp on the video is.
Yeah, there you go.
So if you have made it this far, thank you. But
Hey, and guess what? You're going to like this show because we haven't been bought out by any sponsors.
yeah,
Because no one will ever sponsor this.
yeah, because I have 300 subscribers right now.
Perfect.
Well, I don't even know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't make any money off of this.
Yeah. Well, and
Maybe we will one day.
Yeah.
But
And the fun part about it is, no matter what happens with this, we're still friends that just talk about cars.
That's really the whole point of this. Is we just wanted to have somebody else to talk to. So.
Oh man.
So yeah.
That's all good.
Yeah, but anyway, like I said, if you have made it this far, thank you. And do subscribe, or consider subscribing anyway, for more of this, and check out some of the other videos that I have. I also do walk-arounds and a little bit of content with my own cars usually. So if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. And consider subscribing for more content like this and plenty more videos to come.